I'm trying to roll this intro for this video, but my dog is whining because she needs to go for a walk. You guys want to see my little puppy? Check her out. She's not really a puppy, but yeah, see her? That's a big dog. Her name is Rogue, and she is about 2 years old. I gotta finish doing this video, but I gotta take her for a walk first. Before I take her out for a walk, we're talking about the Sony a6400. So let's go. Alright, so let's get started. The Sony a6400. First thing I want to say is the price. At the time of this video, it goes for $899, and that's with the kit lens. I think if you get it without the kit lens, it might be a little bit cheaper. I'm not really sure how much. If this is your first Sony, I would just get the one with the kit lens. Now, $899 may sound like a lot of money, but for what you get in this camera, it's really not that much. This camera is so compact that it will fit in your front pocket or even your back pocket and even your jacket pocket. That's how compact this thing is, and that was a major selling point for me. It's super light, it's compact, it doesn't take up a lot of big bulky room like a regular DSLR will, and the reason for that is because it is a mirrorless camera. Lens flips up like that, as you can see. Now, some of the negatives that there was when this camera first came out was when the lens is up like this, the hot shoe sits right in the middle. So if you put a mic, a shotgun mic or something like that right here, you can't see the screen because it's going to be right in the way. Well, there's a couple different companies that made some products to avoid that. It's like a little adapter you put in here, and it moves the hot shoe over here, and it fits really nice. So you can attach your mic or whatever, your light on the side here, and your video, your LCD is not obstructed at all. So that complaint, it's not valid because there's ways around that. As far as the physical things about this camera, that's it. Small and flip up screen. Sony didn't do that for a long time until this camera came out, and that was a major selling point for me. Now, the internals, the features are jam-packed in this camera, and it's probably gonna be a long list to go over those features. So I'm just gonna go over my couple of favorite features that made me buy the camera and some features that I wish it had. All right, so the features that made me buy this camera. First and foremost, it shoots 4K at 30 frames per second. Not a lot of cameras, especially on some other brands like Canon, don't do that. They just give you the 1080p at 60, if you get that. 4K at 30 looks beautiful coming out of this camera. Major selling point for me. The other one was you get 1080p at 120 frames per second. Again, not a lot of other companies, Canon, will do that. And I didn't like that. Two little things that all the other companies are doing, but you don't want to do it. But I'm not here to bash Canon. I'm here to talk about this particular camera. Those were two great selling points for me. Probably the two main ones. That in addition to the camera flipping up, or the monitor flipping up, I was sold. That's all I needed. Alright, so the other feature that I really liked about this camera, and I didn't really realize how much I would use it until after I got the feature, is the picture profiles. The S-Log 1, 2, 3, HLG, how you can, get flat profiles in your video. If you're not really a big color grader, or you don't really know how to color grade, that feature may not be a big deal, but it might inspire you to learn how to color grade, which it did for me. And now I can get those, great picture profiles. I can use my LUTs effectively that I bought probably from my favorite YouTubers, as you did, and now they look really good on the video. That was another awesome benefit to me, is the picture profiles. I mean, again, the other companies, Canon, don't have that. So as far as the positives go, that's probably it. 4K, flip up screen, and the picture profiles, and the 1080p at 120 frames per second. Those were the main things that I was looking for in a camera, and it had everything else that I was expecting that most cameras will have. The mic input, the SD card slot, the batteries, the HDMI out, just normal stuff that most cameras come with. Now let's go over the negatives. couple of these negatives could be deal breakers. One of them almost was for me. And the first negative is going to be that this camera doesn't have any IBIS or image or in-body image stabilization. Surprisingly, quite a few cameras don't have that, but you might think they do. Even on the other brands, some of the cameras you think might have it actually don't. After I did a little bit of research, I realized that, you know, when you don't have an optically steadied lens on this camera, the shakiness or the vibration doesn't really seem as bad as a camera that has IBIS or in-body stabilization. So that wasn't really too much of a deal breaker for me after I did the research. Another way you could bypass that is every Sony lens, most of them will have OSS, which is optical steady shot. So that will solve that problem. But if you buy like a Sigma lens, you're not going to have that. And if you plan on doing a lot of vlogging, there is going to be a little bit of that shaky shutter. And it might bother you, it might not. I mean, a lot of YouTubers don't even mind it, and they're making whole beautiful videos with it, and you can't even tell the difference. So in my opinion, it's not a negative, but in some of those other people's eyes, it might be a negative. It was for me in the beginning, but it's not now. But I just wanted to let you guys know there's no IBIS in this camera, so you just take your own approach on it. Well, the other negative was actually what I already talked about, was the hot shoe being in the way of the flip up screen. But I already told you how to solve that, so that's actually a pretty quick negative. Again, you could bypass it, not a big deal. It was a big deal when it first came out, but not now. So hot shoe, check. So now that I sit here and I think about it, those are really only the two negatives that I have for this camera, is the no IBIS and the hot shoe that is in the way of the flip up screen. And both those things you can, you know, work around or resolve by doing something else. So they're not even really big deals. That's why I believe that this camera is the best beginner camera, or the best all-around camera for that price point. And if it's a little bit above your price point, I still think you should really try to figure out a way to get this camera, because you can really grow into this thing. This camera will probably last you a good 5 to 8 years. I mean, depending on how fast you excel in the videography or YouTube or photography world, but this will cover everything that you need it to cover. That's why I love this camera. It's a great beginner camera. You can really grow into it. It's got all the features that you need, super packed with features. There's nothing that you don't need. And I was a little bit worried when I first bought it, because I was a Canon shooter and a lot of people said how great Canon was, and they were. You know, I got no problems with Canon. Canon's actually a really good brand. The camera I had, the T7i, was just too big, just too heavy compared to this. This is like half the size of that thing, and this is a lot lighter. That was just a big deal to me. And then the 4K was a big deal. To buy a 4K camera in Canon or even Panasonic or Fuji, I mean, you had to spend like $1,200 to get 4K. Here you get it for $899. This is just my quick review on the Sony a6400. I hope it helped some of you out deciding on what kind of camera or which model you should buy. And those are my opinions on the Sony a6400. I think Sony overall is a great brand, and I think they're crushing it when it comes to cameras. And I think they're definitely dominating all the other companies, and they probably will for a while, because they're just really advancing when it comes to their cameras. So if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to this channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you're notified every time I put out a new video. Appreciate you guys watching, and that's all I got, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.